whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We haven't heard anything directly. We need you to reach out, and we need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward. But first, we have to know that you have our mom. We want to talk to you, and we are waiting for contact.
The family of Nancy Guthrie makes another direct appeal to their mother's kidnappers as that first deadline in an apparent ransom note passes. Good morning, everybody. I'm Audie Cornish, and that's where we're going to begin, because authorities are working to determine at this point these several ransom notes distributed to media outlets are legitimate. The letter stated that Guthrie was okay but scared. It also set two deadlines. One was yesterday, the other for next Monday. And it comes as police release a new timeline and new evidence. Blood found on Guthrie's porch, it turns out, was hers, and her front door camera detected motion around 2 a.m. on the night that she went missing. That camera is now missing as well. This morning, the sheriff does believe they will find the 84-year-old alive.
People are always asking, do I believe she's alive? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's nothing to say she isn't. We're waiting for that one big break. I just hope it comes faster.
Joining me now, Josh Sherrard, former Galveston, Texas police captain. Good morning. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me, Audie.
I want to start with the video we just showed everyone. That's from Cameron Guthrie. It was posted hours after the first ransom deadline passed. And the thing that's interesting about it is him saying, we need a way to get in touch with you. Can you talk about what you're interpreting from his message?
So what we know from law enforcement is that these ransom letters, especially the one that they seem to be giving the most credibility at this particular time, really didn't have any two-way communication methods. It made a demand, supposedly, a couple deadlines, but no other way to communicate those that may have authored it. And obviously we're past one of those deadlines and working towards another now through the weekend. So the family has obviously been making a couple pleas, and I'm sure will continue to do so to establish that communication. Look, there's unfortunately, we've already had one arrest for fraudulent ransom. I'm sure there's other illegitimate ransom notes out there as well. That has to be priority right now, is establishing the legitimacy of these ransom notes before they can really start to continue down that path of seeing if they do have Nancy and how to get her back. And part of that is establishing that communication with those that may have sent it. And this is the family really making that emotional plea to do just that.
Now, with your caution in mind about the legitimacy of these notes, I want to play for you something Harvey Levin from TMZ. TMZ, one of the outlets who received some kind of ransom note. Here's how he described what they got.
My sense is whoever sent this letter is based in the Tucson area. And I say that because of a reference made in the letter, a sentence in the letter. It feels to me, reading it, that this is Tucson-based.
Is there helpful information from something like that? Or, as you said, are there just too many of these notes to kind of make heads or tails of it?
You know, there could be, and you have to look at every single one with anything that you can get out of it. But this is a prime reason of why police are so reluctant to release any kind of details about a case. In one of these ransom notes, it references an Apple Watch and a particular floodlight on the house that's fairly identifiable. But if you really dig into it, both of these things could have been gleaned from just Google Street View and information that the police had already released concerning her pacemaker being connected to Apple devices. So that's why it's so critical about what information as law enforcement gets released into the public, because now you have a ransom note that seems fairly credible. It's got some good details in it, and you have to look back and say, well, were these details available to the public before this actual ransom note? So that makes things even more challenging and difficult as we move forward, trying to parse through all this evidence, including these ransom notes, to determine the legitimacy so that we can really devote our efforts to that particular avenue of this investigation.
I want to play one more piece of tape for you. There's a new timeline out. So you do have investigators saying, look, we know a little more about where Nancy Guthrie was at any given moment, what time she traveled home, 5:32 p.m., and then what happened overnight. That's where you see that dotted line, right? This is the question mark, and then the disconnect of the doorbell at 1:47. Can I focus on the doorbell for a second? This is what the sheriff had to say when people were asking about some of the challenges in this case.
If you're in an urban environment, it's, streets and sidewalks and houses next to each other, all the Ring cameras and business cameras, nice. This isn't that. This isn't a very suburban rural area of the Tucson area, in a very mountainous side of town where vegetation is extremely thick. It's dark.
I actually found this context helpful because the first thing I thought is, like, there must be cameras everywhere, right? In this day and age, it feels like so many people have doorbell cameras or security cameras. What did you think hearing this?
What it told me was that investigators have been able to acquire a lot of that video in that neighborhood. I'm sure that residents in that neighborhood were coming forward saying, hey, you can have my video, please use it in this investigation. Obviously, they've been through, at least some of it to know that, unfortunately, due to that vegetation or topographical geography, that it wasn't useful. But that's just it. You have to, you're not really sure what could be useful until you start to really narrow down some of the details in this case. Somebody's video showing a street that may not show anything remarkable may hold the key once you learn that, well, it was this particular car that was leaving the scene that we also then see on this video camera. So it's really important to kind of hold that evidence and that video surveillance. And then as we start to narrow down some of the other evidence in this case, go back and see what that will tell you in the future. So hopefully will lend us a little bit more information in the future as we start to learn more of those details.
That's Josh Gerard. Thank you so much for your time. Coming up on CNN this morning, a defiant message. You've got two Democrats telling the Justice Department what they will not do about that illegal orders video. Plus, the Olympics are already underway with a big win so far for Team USA. And then we're going to ask who sent Tulsi Gabbard to Georgia to look for a 2020 vote.